This boat image here is a great example of an image that has really high dynamic range. Let's go ahead and open it by using Command R on the Mac or Control R on Windows in order to open it into Camera Raw. Now this image was exposed for the highlights in order to retain detail in the highlights, but in doing so, some of the shadow areas are just too dark, especially this area here where the boat is in the water. In order to correct this, we're going to use a combination of the shadows slider as well as the black slider. Now to make sure that we're all looking at the same thing, let's go ahead and toggle on our shadow clipping warnings, and we can do that by tapping the U key. If we move the black slider over to the left now, you should see the clipping warning appear in your image in blue. Let's reset the black slider by double-clicking on it. Since I don't see very much blue except for in the very deepest dark shadows here, I'm just going to move my black slider over to the right a teeny bit, maybe to +14. Then I'm going to bring up information from my shadow area kind of more towards the midtone area by increasing the shadow slider over to the right. And as I do this, we can watch the histogram move from this position right here, where we have a lot of information in the very dark shadow areas. And then as we move it over here, we're moving that area of really dark shadow area more towards our midtone area. And let's go ahead and zoom in while we do this. I can use Command Option 0 in order to zoom in to 100%. And then by pressing the space bar, I'll automatically get the hand tool. You've got to keep the space bar pressed down, but then you can pan across your image. And I just want to see the effect of using the shadow slider in this dark area of the boat. So let's reset it again by double-clicking on it. So this is before, and then as I move that shadow slider over, you can see that not only the blue clipping warning is disappearing, but we're also able to see into this shadow area. Now, one of the problems that happens when you move the shadow area of your histogram into the brighter values or more towards the midtones is that you're liable to come across a lot of noise, because we know that cameras aren't as sensitive in dark areas. They have a harder time telling the difference between not only color values in dark areas, but also tonal values. So as we increase the values in our dark areas, we're going to be seeing more noise. So one of the things that you might want to do is when you move the shadow slider over to the right as far as we did, you might want to also go to the detail slider, and then under the noise reduction, move the luminance slider over to the right. You can see if we move it all the way over, these areas of the boat that were in shadow become completely smooth. In fact, I think they're a little bit too smooth. So let's back off on that so that we can just remove some of the noise in that area. Of course, if we want to see a preview, we can tap the P key. That will toggle on and off the changes that we've made just in the detail panel. If we want to toggle on and off the preview or the adjustments that we've made in all of the panels, then we need to click on this second to last icon, the presets icon, and tap the P key. So there's after and there's before. Again, there's after. And remember, this is the preview of not only what's in the detail panel, but also what's in the basic panel. So before we click done, let's just make sure by zooming out that we haven't adversely affected any other areas of the image. So I'll use Command 0 in order to fit on screen or fit the whole image in that preview area. And I'm just looking for any other areas, maybe that blue overlay, to see if I'm clipping in any other areas. And it doesn't look like I am, but honestly, the image just looks a little bit false right now. I think I've gone too high with the shadow slider. I'm just going to back off on that a little bit so that this area here isn't quite as bright. We'll click done. When we return to Bridge, you can see that those adjustments have been made and the thumbnail's been updated. So I think you can see that the ability of the black slider to set the darkest values in the image in combination with the shadow slider to reveal that underexposed information. When you use that in combination with the noise reduction slider to remove any excessive digital noise from those areas is an incredibly effective way to reveal detail in the shadows of what would otherwise be too dark of an image.